So we will discuss about another fundamental concept in computer programming, which is a loop. In loops, what we use loops is for repeat instructions. For example, if you want to add numbers from 1 to 10. So how do you do it? So you can add x equals 1 plus, so you can write an expression like this. So what's the problem with this kind of instruction? So the problem is, so 1 to 10 is fine, but what about, say, if you want to add 1 to, say, 1,000 or 1 million? Okay. So in these cases, we cannot write a single expression. So what we want to do is, we want to write this as a repetition. So how do you write this as a repetition? So you can see there's a pattern here. So there's a pattern. So we can what we are doing is, we add a number, say I. Okay, we add I to sum. Okay, and each time, so I will be 1 first, 2, 3, likewise until 10. So then we increase I by 1 and add again to the sum. So you can see now it's a you do this 10 times, you will be fine. So here is one example. So you can write this as one expression, or you can find a pattern, a repeating pattern, and you can write this as a repetition. So you can see, you add I, so you have to start with I equals 1 first, and sum should be 0. So if you start with these two initial condition, and then you do some what you want processing, and each time you increase I by 1 and you do it 10 times, what you will have is the numbers, the addition of numbers from 1 to 10. So how do you make it say add numbers 1 to 1 million? So what do you want to change? You only want to change this one to 10 million. So it will work. So the computer is very fast doing these kind of repetitions. So you can if you use loop, so we call it a loop because it's going like a loop. So we use a concept called loop to do this. So there are several loops you can find in C programming. The main or the basic one is called for loop. So in a for loop you have three statements. So you start with for, and then you have to have a initialization section. Then you have to separate that by end of statement, and then you want to have a condition. And then you have the increment, how you increase your variable. Okay, so here, so we have these three cases in this previous example. So we have the initialization, okay, and then we have condition. So the you want to run it less than, say, less or equal than 10 times, and then you increase I by 1. So you have these three conditions in our previous example. So what you can do is, you can write this as a example. So what are the initial conditions? So y should be 0, okay, and then the condition, so we will have some equals 0 here. You can do it here as well, you can do it here as well, but we will do it outside because this is the first for loop we are discussing. And the condition, so what is the condition? So the conditions must be true. So the condition must be true to this loop to operate. So the condition should be I or less than or equals to 10, and the increment is I plus plus. Okay, so you can see you do it once, so you can do it, and so increase this by increment operator is only one time, and you do it after the statement. So the first iteration I will be 0, okay, and the next at the end of the iteration, what you will do is you will increase the first iteration I will be 0, and the end of the iteration after executing this statement you will increase I by 1. Okay, so and then you can say sum equals the previous sum plus I. So at the first iteration this will be 0 and the sum will be 0 and this is 0. Okay, so actually what we have to do is we have to start with 1 here because we start with 1. Okay, and the sum will be 1, and the second time the I will be increased by 1 and the sum is 1 now, so the addition is 3, the current sum is 3 now, so you add 3, 6, so 4, I increase by 1, you will have 10, and you can do this 10 times if you want to add numbers until 10. So these are the main components of a for loop. So you can have many instruction you want to repeat here. So you have initialization section, condition section, which should be true to, if this condition become false, the loop stops or breaks, we call it breaks, and the increment. So you can increase by 1, you can increase by 2, or you can decrease by 1, decrease by 10, or whatever. So each time this increment or decrement will happen. So now we will see how to program this in C. Okay, let's start writing the program we discussed. So we need to have a variable called sum, which is 0, and we will declare our variable I also here. Okay, so we can do it in a for loop at first, but we will do it like this. So we have I equals 1, so this is the initialization section. I less than or equals 10, I plus plus. Okay, so we will have something like this, and here we want to get the previous sum. Okay, and the new, so this is the previous sum, and here we want to save the update the sum by adding variable I. So we take the current sum and add I, the value of I, and update the sum again. So finally print f addition is %d and variable sum. we save it and we go here and it's for loop GCC for loop minus O for okay, so addition is 55. So you know the answer is correct. So you need a number. Okay. So instead of initializing variables here, so we can in new C versions we can do the variable declaration here. The difference here is, okay, so we will see. So we will sum, addition is, and we will print the value of I as well. Printf I equals, and the value of I is I. Okay, so we need a new line here as well. Run. So I is 11. So you know now. So when I is 10, this condition holds. So it goes to this one, and so you execute all the operation, and when you come here, you increase I by 1, I becomes 11, and then you come into this condition. So first, in the first iteration, what will happen is, first you initialize, so this will execute only one time, and then so in the first iteration it will be initialized to 1, and then it will, before going into the loop inside, you check the condition is true. If this is true, you will do all the statements. We can have multiple statements here, and you execute all the statement and come here, and when you come here you increase I, the iterative variable, by 1. Okay, you can increase many variables here, and then you come here and check the condition. If the condition is true, you go it again. So when the I is 9, you come here and increase by 1, I will be 10, and it is true, you execute the statements, and then you increase I by 1, I will be 11, and then I, when you check I, you will see this is false. So you break the loop and come here, and you print the sum, which will be 55, and print I is not 10, it's 11 now, because so you come here, and when you break this statement, I will be 11. Okay, so this is why we got I is equal to 11. So we will see how it will be if you do something like this. So you can see now there's an error. There's an error, undeclared variable I in here. So in line 12 you have this variable is undeclared. So what is the reason for that now? So it says this variable is undeclared, there's an error. So what is the reason? So when you declare, so now earlier we declare the variable here like this. So this variable is visible throughout these brackets. You can see, so we call this a scope. So this scope, it's a local scope. Throughout this local scope, this variable is visible. So if you go inside, this variable is visible, because this is a new scope, as you can see, it's a subscope, but the scope, the variables you declare here will be visible inside. Okay, so but now you declare this I inside this for loop. Okay, so all the variables declared inside the for loop is only visible inside. So outside it's not visible. So when you come here, you cannot access this variable here. Okay. So this is the difference. So when you declare something inside a for loop, it's only local scope. So now you cannot access this variable outside. If you want to access this variable outside, you have to declare it here like sum. Okay. We will check another example now. So we want to add even numbers from 20 to 100, including both. Okay, so how do you do this now? So you need to add a variable sum equals 0. Then for int I, you start with 20 and I less than or equals, so we have to include 100 as well, 100, and I should be increased by 2. So here, because you want to add only even number, so for second one is 22, 24 likewise. So you increase this I this time by 1. So you have sum equals, you have to update the previous sum by adding I. So if you can do something like this, you can solve this problem. So the main difference is, so you can see we are increasing this by different numbers. So you can write the same program the other way around as well. So for example, you can write for, so sum is, so this 0 for I int I equals 100. So you start 100. I is greater than or equal to 20 and I equals I minus 2. So this is same. So here you start with the larger number and you go until your variable is greater than here 20. So this is true until, so I start with 100 and I is greater than or equal to 20. This loop will run and then each time I will be reduced by 1. So these two loops are similar in function. So now we will see how to do this, how to change our program to do this. So we can do it like similarly like this, and 100, and here not by 1, by 2, I equals I plus 2. Okay, so now we will see what is the answer. So you can see 2460. So we will write the other way as well. So we start with 100 and we have to run this while I is greater than or equal to 20 and I will be reduced by 1 every time. So you can see you get the same answer by doing the both. So the difference is, so you here you decrease your for loop. So you can have more than one variables as well. Okay, so we will discuss them when we discuss the other loops.